everybody, it is your boy Cab back with another DLC 18 video for you guys. Today we are going to be taking a look at the brand new Super Souls in DLC 18 and the descriptions of them all at the same time. Now I will say there's 5 Super Souls that were added in DLC 18, 3 paid and 2 on the free side. We have all the paid ones to cover in this video, but only one of the free update Super Souls have I been able to find so far. I'm assuming the other one is not a Super Soul that actually applies to a custom partner in the actual game, because that is how I am able to find most of these early on before the DLC even releases. Like, I took these screenshots before the DLC actually came out and when you just had access to the free update. But first and foremost, starting off with the man Jiren. This is a new Super Soul from Jiren Ultra Super Villain form. What it does is when the battle begins, you restore all ki, and then when health is below 10%, it boosts the strength of all attacks by an XXL amount, which can be anywhere from like 25 to 30%. And then it also increases the damage taken from all attacks by an XXL amount. So really, this Super Soul, I mean, if it was a little bit, you know, earlier on, like health below 10%, usually by the time your health is at that marker, you're very close to death, and you might even be stamina broken at the time by when the Super Soul actually activates. So the whole health below 10% thing is where I'm a little bit iffy on this right here, because if it was like at 50% or 40% or something like that, I could see it being fairly useful, especially if you're a more offensive type of player. You're someone who gets down below that 50% marker, even though you may be taking more damage. Again, you're someone who likes to be on offense more, so you can actually get more benefit from it in that regard. But moving on, this Super Soul right here is actually a free update Super Soul, my boys. It's from Champa, and what it does is always boost the strength of God of Destruction's attacks by a large amount, which is 15%, and then once only when health is below 25%, it temporarily boosts the strength of all attacks by an XXL amount, and it also temporarily increases the damage taken from all attacks by an XXL amount. So kind of similar to the last Super Soul that we just saw, but this one differs in the sense of the initial activation of it. Like the other one, when the battle begins, it restores all your ki. This one, on the other hand, always, no matter what, where you are in the battle or anything like that, you'll always have a 15% increase to any God of Destruction type of attack. So any move that says God of Destruction will be getting a 15% increase from this right here. So that can be, you know, somewhat a decent build move. Like if you do a God of Destruction build, this could be a decent Super Soul for something like that, but still overall not something that is like very noteworthy or anything along those lines. Now this is back into the paid side of things. This is Goku Daima's Super Soul. When the battle begins, you get a temporary boost to the strength of melee attacks, temporarily activates ki out of recovery mode, and then always it says boost all abilities. Effect increases based on number of opponents. This is something that I've never seen on Xenoverse 2 in terms of a Super Soul. At least I don't remember ever seeing this description for a Super Soul. Boosting all abilities. What does that exactly mean? Are we boosting all the attack categories only, or are we taking into account speed? Like, is speed getting boosted at the same time? I really don't know what all abilities actually is, because again, we've never really seen that on a Super Soul before on Xenoverse 2. Now, the other part of this Super Soul is it says that the effect increases based on the number of opponents. So this could be a Super Soul right here that could be absolutely potentially OP in like a 3v3 situation or something like that, depending on what the whole boost all abilities actually means and what kind of boost are all the abilities get per opponent on the field. Is it a 5% increase to all your abilities? Is it a 10% increase to all your abilities for each opponent? Like, how much of an increase is it actually for each and every single opponent that you have on the field and in the actual match at that point in time? So that one is a very confusing, but one that can be, you know, kind of OP again in like a 3v3 situation or something along those lines, depending on what the boost all abilities actually entails. So with that being said, let's move on to the next Super Soul and the last Super Soul that I have for you guys in this video right here. This is the last paid Super Soul that you can get from this DLC, and it's from Belmod, and what it does is once only when opponent's health is below 25%, it restores your ki by a medium amount, and then temporary boost the strength of all allies and your attacks by an XXL amount, I should say. Now, this is a Super Soul that to me is just like, I see no point. I see absolutely zero purpose. Like, I don't understand why they still continue to release Super Souls like this in Xenoverse 2. I just don't get it, because like I could understand if this was more just like a Super Soul that was released out of nowhere, you know, something to give the community, you know, between a DLC to the next DLC, and that gap of dryness in terms of content. I can understand a Super Soul like this being released, but for a DLC, I just don't get it, because I don't see anybody using this at all. I mean, imagine you literally have to get your opponent to below 25% health. That is 75% of the match. You most likely are not going to be having a Super Soul active at all. There's just so many better options that are out there that you can get, you know, either something that starts from the beginning of the match, something that's at a 50% health thing. Things like that are just much better options, you know, than something like this, because you're not going to get much time with it. And then even what it does do, I mean, yeah, the temporary boost to your strength of all attacks by an XXL amount at that point in time is absolutely massive, but most likely, you know, it's not going to be like a big determining factor in the outcome of a match, something that is not going to really affect the outcome of the match, I would say, with this right here. So again, not a Super Soul I'm very fond of, just because it says when your opponent's health is below 25%. If it was to be something like even a 40%, like if it says when opponent's health is below 40%, I could see the Super Soul not being, you know, that bad at all. I could see it getting some decent use, because once they do get below that 40% marker, that's their ass at that point in time, because you're getting somewhere between a 25 to 30% increase to all of your attack categories. You're essentially getting a free awoken off with this right here when it does activate, but again, having it below that 25% marker is just where, for me, it's not that great. So those are the Super Souls from DLC 18. Again, we are missing one of the free update Super Souls in this video right here. I don't know what that last free update one is. I'm assuming it'll be coming out in future raids, though, without a doubt. So let me know what you guys think, though, down below in the comments of these Super Souls, all things like that. But till next time, boys, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and as always, hope you have a good one. Hey, y'all.